Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. We are here in the new year with our first news roundup for the month of January. We've got a decent amount of news and some revelations, some announcements, some controversial statements, some sad news about layoffs. That's more of the same, really. It's like,
It's actually increased from last year. The rate
is
of
the
layoffs so
pace
far this year,
the
we're
the
already
pace.
over 50% of last year's total layoff
Goddamn speed
in
running.
1 month. Yeah,
We're,
no, like
we're speed running,
crazy.
folks. But really,
The new meta.
the topic that's on everybody's fucking mind for good and bad reasons, I would say, which we'll get into, is the early access release of Pokemon with guns, or is which I think is reductionist of Palworld. It's really Pokemon slavery. That's really what the game is. We've all seen the
I mean,
memes.
Pokemon's always been slavery.
But we've all seen the memes, because this is a survival game, really, at its heart. We've all seen the memes of,
That's the actual reason this game is blown up, because survival game fans are fucking psychos.
Absolutely. But I was gonna say, like, we've seen the memes. The one that's made the rounds, most frequently is the smash cuts of all the sad pals, working away on basically on plantations, and cut over with Cartman singing the slave hymnal.
Oh, no.
Say, Matt, insert that audio if you can find it. But Mike, as our resident, pocket monster aficionado, and the only one who's actually played a little bit of the game.
Well, yeah, because all of us know that digital monsters are better than pocket monsters.
What's going on with Palworld? Its success, its controversies. What's going on?
I'm excited to play more. I enjoyed the slideshow that I played for a little bit on my laptop that should be able to run it perfectly fine, even at low settings. Slideshow, but the core mechanics of it were interesting. I enjoyed. I'm excited. I didn't get to experience gun. I did, however, get to experience axe pick.
You have to
And
get
was
to like
able
level.
axe pick.
You have to get to like level 20 or something before you're able to craft your first gun, from what I've seen. So it's like
Gatekeepers.
yeah, it takes you a little while. It takes you a little while, from my understanding. But yeah, you just walk up to fucking your Pokemon clones and punch them in the face.
Yeah, I was just had an ice pick. I was just hacking away at some like chicken Pokemon. I will be calling them Pokemon.
What does the game call them?
Pals.
Pals. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's so funny. You're
it's
calling
not a
these things.
It's a pal sphere.
Yeah, it's so funny that, like, you call them your pals. They're your friends that you put to work.
Yeah, and you build
and
a base
and punish if they fall behind productivity. Yeah. Yeah, we're all imprisoned here. We're all indentured here in the content mines.
One thing I really appreciated was I got to run around in just a loincloth.
Yes.
So that was nice.
How was the character creator? I've seen some really nice. I think it was the Donkey video of it. He quote unquote imported his Street Fighter 6 character, which, so a grotesque monstrosity.
Yeah. No, it was definitely there's a lot of options, fine tuning. Again, mine was a slideshow, so I didn't really go too in depth. Yeah, so I got
even in the character creator,
somewhere I liked.
Even in the character creator, the frame rate was taking.
So it wasn't so much the frame rate there, that the I'm hitting like the down button to like go through the different options, and the lag on the button, and then I've hit the button so many times in frustration, so then it's just like when it catches up, it's just cycling through. So it was it was a fun experience, trying to, again, low graphical settings, nothing else running, perfectly good stats,
So-
or specs on my computer,
So how the hell are
and
people
playing
playing this?
offline. And playing offline. I was playing just the one player.
I mean,
Uh,
it's an early access game. I've already mentioned that. But it's I've heard and seen plenty of bugs and glitches, but I hadn't seen really many performance issues. So that is an interesting thing. Maybe did you try
I mean, I saw that their
anything like?
servers were having problems because they weren't
Oh yeah,
prepared
well
for.
they had to have like emergency meetings with Epic and
well, and I played last Saturday after we
it was
recorded, so
the day
it
or
was
two
probably a
after
hype.
launch.
Yeah,
It
because I
was
was
really
playing.
close
Yeah, I was
to
playing
launch.
Crisis Core when you were doing that.
It was really close to
Yeah.
launch. I know that. So yeah, it was you were in that that window of its like peak concurrent player count, which
Yeah.
it is what now the second most concurrently played game in Steam history, because whether paid or unpaid, because the quibbling of whether you put PUBG on the paid or unpaid side of things, because there was
Because
a time when
it's
it
had
was
a lifespan of equal now
yeah
with
yeah
both.
I still think it's number two regardless,
Yeah.
on either of those lists. It's like last time I'll look it up, because I looked up the sales numbers today, because they're we're constantly updating every like video or reaction or post I ever saw about Palworld. They kept having like come in and edit, just like, well, it just went up another million. We just went up another million. I checked today and it seems to have kind of plateaued a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's an early access game that you're going to generate your most players right away. They're going to play
Yeah,
the early
especially when
access
you put it on
portion, and then they're
sale.
going to move on to whatever else they're doing until more content or whatever is available in the early access.
I don't think it's like that. I'd say like that it's dying off already.
Oh, I didn't say that.
No. I just don't want people
I was
to
just making sure
misunderstand that.
Oh,
It was just more like you can only kind of keep that meteoric rise, that rate of adoption so long. But right now, all the figures haven't been updated in the last 2 days as of the day of recording, and have it at over 8 million units sold. But that also doesn't include, because it was a day one release on Game Pass, so there's that factor as well.
Oh,
Damn.
I didn't know that.
However,
Oh, I should have tried
there's a
that.
whole shit show going on with the Xbox side of things, in that like there are no
yeah, the
dedicated
Xbox version is
servers
like 3 versions behind or something like
in
that.
terms of
And
its build, and like there are no
because
dedicated
Microsoft
servers, so you can
offers
only
an
do
early
the four
access
player.
portal on Xbox. They've offered that since the Xbox One era when they were trying to rebuild their image. So you've been able to do some because like Grounded and stuff was early access on Xbox.
Okay, so I see here now it did break the 2 million mark for concurrent players on Steam, which is still so it's now the second. Where like PUBG was at like 3 million something.
It was like 2.7 was its concurrent high. And
How
that I
is that?
remember
That's so
the
crazy.
Now, I see here PUBG reached basically 3.25 million,
yeah.
and that was
I
in
remember the
2018.
PUBG craze because it was I was peaking
even know what this
Overwatch at that
is.
point, and there was a huge shift in like content creator motivation towards
So
PUBG immediately.
it's a battle
What the
royale
fuck is
game.
PUBG?
It's a battle royale
Player
game.
Unknown's Battleground, the
Huge,
first real battle royale
yeah,
that
and
popularized the trend.
It's huge in China still.
The progenitor to Fortlift.
Yes.
Yeah,
Before
Wait, it's
before
first?
PUBG got big, Fortnite was a tower defense survival game.
Ah,
And then
yeah.
PUBG got big and they
Fortnite had a
created a
rebrand.
battle royale component.
I thought
And then
Fortnite
they
came
got
first.
rid of Fortnite Defend the World or whatever it was called for just the battle royale component, which is now a large daycare simulator.
For people both of and under or above the age of majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works for
sure.
both.
But I saw Pokemon released a statement basically like yeah, we know this
Stop
exists.
emailing us.
Stop. Yeah. Stop tagging us and shit. We
They're
know
not
about
doing
it. We're
anything
not
illegal.
idiots.
However, that mod guy who was releasing a paid mod with ripped models straight from the Switch
Yeah.
and 3DS games, you're doing something illegal.
Yeah. That even like Nexus Mods was like, yeah, we're uncomfortable hosting this.
That guy is now in literal mines, not
Yeah.
content
That was
mines.
the fun
Yeah.
one for me, where it's like I was expecting Reddit to have a different reaction, and they were like, "Nah, dude, the second you make that paid, you're asking for that. That's on you.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
You're invoking their wrath the second you try to ask for money for their assets."
Yeah. So that
I love the memes that like none of you guys would really get, but as a Pokemon degenerate, I do.
Are
where
you
it was-
calling us lower class? Is that what that was?
Yes.
Is that a
I
So,
mean,
slight?
I'm
yeah.
calling myself a traditionalist because I'm a Dragon Quest truther.
I have
yeah, it's
not.
like people making the
I wanna
claims,
dip
yeah,
my toes
that
into that
Pal
in the
World
Dragon Quest.
stole models. It's like, Pokemon did it first. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Matt posted that
But
meme in the chat today. Just all the
The
side
Dragon
by
Quest
sides
masters.
of all the
of the
monsters
Kanto.
in Pokemon, right next to each other.
Yeah,
It's
but
like, come on
I
here.
mean they're
Hey, can I
the
cheat off you? Yeah, just change it a little bit.
they were going deep in the catalog of and even like there's like Scarlet and Violet Pokemon that are pretty much ripped and then put into Pal
So
World. They just like
the
added
only
more
meme
flair.
I know about Palworld is that Pokemon number or Pal number 69 is the fuckable one.
I didn't know that.
I was
love
gonna
that.
ask if Palworld gave Pokemon fans their true dream of letting
No,
there be
because Pokemon fans
relations.
only love their Gardevoirs and their little pith, little jump.
Lopunny.
Low Bunny.
The
Low
little
Bunny,
rabbit one.
Lopunny. There's
that
many
one.
ways of people pronounce it because there's no voice acting and no pronunciation, so you're just relying on how people,
How
Reading
sickos on the
comprehension,
internet,
which
how
is
sickos
a
on the
fun
internet
argument
have
we
done
had
it,
at
yeah.
work, where someone said that they used to pronounce it milkway toast.
Amazing.
Oh my, that's a good one.
on what?
Milk
They pronounce
toast.
milk toast, milkway toast, milkway toast.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
milkway.
It's a good one.
McQuay.
They're sounding it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like, that's phonetical.
that sounds like a name in Brooklyn. There's a couple of McQuays in Brooklyn.
Is
for
that, is
sure.
that mill apostrophe quay?
My favorite was at Chili's in high school, someone ordering chips and queso.
Have you ever heard someone say quinoa for the first time?
Oh, God.
or Chipotle? That's a tough one for the suburban moms.
The Subway menu broke like 8-year-old Andrew's brain with trying to say, I want the Southwest Southwest sauce. You know what it is. Just put it on there.
Yeah. Load that shit on.
So Palworld though has continued to court certain controversies that I think are largely blown out of the water, but they revolve around two kind of major claims. One that we've already alluded to, that they have ripped models straight from Pokemon. And again, all these claims are alleged. Most of them have been debunked or shown to have zero evidence, and were just some angry Pokemon defender, someone who feels like that they must suit up in
just a Reddit.
Someone must suit up in their finest suit of armor to defend the company with the most successful entertainment property on the planet.
I mean, I think you're
on the history of our
finest
species.
suit of armor. It's more like least stained T-shirt with tears in their eyes.
It's the Poke adults. It's the Poke adults. It's the same ones getting mad when you say Marvel movies suck.
Yeah, you want to think it's children, but realistically, it's like 35 to 44-year-old millennials.
Oh, we know this, because then there's the people who jump on the back of it again, not realizing that this was just some spurious claim made by some butthurt 35-year-old shut-in who only, who's only touched to outside culture is this one franchise.
Shut in such a negative term. We should use the proper term otaku.
But they're like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's, that the claim that they're using AI art, which again has had no backup whatsoever. The only thing that they point to is that a multiple year old interview with the CEO of the Palworld developer studio.
Newsflash, asshole! Everyone's using AI art.
Yeah. Like
I was just at a trade show and it was just the most obvious AI art all over the place.
But they're like, this guy was like, previously has been pretty bullish about the uses of AI. I think they have a previous game that, openly says that it used AI art, but, had not said, the guy has no qualms with AI art. So if this had it in it, they would be upfront about it.
I don't see why.
I don't see why they would hide it. Also, say the fact that if they were to do it and lie about it, that would be an issue because, Steam doesn't allow that shit.
I didn't know that.
You have without disclosing it. They don't allow it without disclosing it.
That's a rule from like last year, isn't it? Wasn't that newly instituted?
It was implemented last year.
It's fairly new. It's fairly new, yeah. But again, there's no proof whatsoever that it's that they use.
So this
AI
is just
to create character
this is
models.
just a Pokemon defender that's like trying to find some leverage to cause outrage that's unwarranted. And for the claims of them ripping Pokemon, there's no way they're doing it one for one rips and then editing it. And even if they were in some way, they're putting so much more into it. The graphics, even in my slideshow, are better than fucking Scarlet and Violet. I was playing that last night or the other night as well, playing the DLC, and the second half of the DLC in Scarlet and Violet, just story wise that they try to put in, and like even just like fetch quests that for even Pokemon were like beyond baby, beyond infantile, and so quick.
I mean,
still having issues
there
with
is
the fucking
point again
rendering
that Pokemon is designed for goo goo gaga babies. Like, but they are designing these games to be like Jimmy's first JRPG.
Well, but that's not their fan base anymore. Well, they still have that. Like, there's obviously a huge loyal fan base of older adults.
That fan base, though, like they're always going to want it because they're selling toys to children. That's
but they have the shows for that. They don't necessarily need the games, and like no matter what, you could play.
These are merchandising tie-in games. These are games that are made just to sell merch.
Yeah.
Pokemon recently
I'm just pointing out that Gen Alpha has tested out as the least watching TV generation, like functional TV shows.
It doesn't matter. They'll put through TikToks. There's so much Pokemon media in the zeitgeist that like it doesn't matter. They're gonna sell. Pikachu's always cute. Fucking whatever. But
no, he's not always cute. He was cute when he was fat, and then they took him away from us.
Of course, give us Chunky. Give us our Chunky boy back. But it
was the first time that media censored, and I was sad.
The Scarlet and Violet developer, like part of the team for that, or like Pokemon higher ups, were saying how the reception of Scarlet and Violet is like having them rethink their whole model of one releasing so quickly and just like how the games.
Let's see if they hold true and don't release a Pokemon game this year.
Here's my question I really wanted to pose to you guys is people are saying like, oh yeah, like this is successful because it's like, it's actually, doing something different. Yeah, they're pulling from all, they're not necessarily doing things new. They're taking from different games, different genres, and
there's an amalgamation of genres in there.
It's like this is Pokemon meets Arc meets
it's actually more close to Arc than it is anything else.
Yeah, and so my opinion my question to you is like, what what would you like the Pokemon Company and Game Freak, what would you like them to do to, make Pokemon great again? That kind of thing. Like what changes need to be made?
We have to find a better acronym than MUPGA.
Like what needs to be done to make the game good? Because, even something like that was as far of a stretch that they've managed to do in recent years, Arceus, like, still is very much of the same formula. Like, everything is interesting until you get into an actual fight with Pokemon in that game, and then it's incredibly boring. And it's
so
you do like one hit and the enemy, or you die.
EPAP.
Elevate
as the Pokemon resident above past.
As the resident Pokemon degenerate, I will start off. And to the point about Arceus, they completely changed the battle format there. They were trying something new. It had some cool elements. It didn't hit the mark at all, because you're right about the battle mechanics in that game. But for me, the biggest thing Pokemon could do is put in fucking voice actors. 1, 2, actually, like, put so that you have the fucking Pokemon models now. Like, you have very good models in 3D from Sword, from from fucking Scarlet and Violet, from Arceus.
Don't all of those technically come from Pokemon Go? Like, wasn't Pokemon Go the basis for, or do I have that backwards?
It was,
because Pokemon Go came out and it was the 3DS.
Well, but it's really the 3DS to Pokemon Go, and then probably they took some of the updates from the Pokemon Go models to the Switch games, and I think now it's just a back and forth, especially with the new models coming out for the new Pokemon in the games that then later get released in Pokemon Go. I think it's backwards there. But point being, they've spent enough time and money on the fucking Pokemon models. We don't need to, change them that much from game to game. Focus on fucking giving us an environment that is fleshed out and cool. If we're going with the RPG, like, open world style games, give us a good fleshed out environment. They kind of did it a bit in Sword, but that's very much the 3DS style, like, very old school. Had some open world elements, but was largely the traditional linear path.
Go from this town to this town and defeat this gym leader, and then you can use this gym badge to go to this town to defeat this gym leader.
One thing they did do in the DLC that I really liked, and I think that they should continue doing in newer games, is the gym battles they only did this really well with one of the 4 in the DLC, like gym leader battles you do. One of them, the gimmick was you had to use only Pokemon caught in that new region in the DLC. So you had to there was some sort of gimmick, some sort of limitation on what you could bring in battle, which made the battle more challenging. It wasn't just, okay, let me over level my Pokemon a little bit and just plow through like you traditionally would. You had to think about it some more, other than, oh, this is a fire type gym, I'm going to bring all my 10 level over water Pokemon and just hit surf constantly. And they tried to do it with other ones, but they were more stupid baby games. There was identify this Pokemon. It was basically who's that Pokemon, but in Scarlet and Violet. So those were stupid, but they were, I could see the thoughts of trying to make it just not a straight go battle or fetch quest to then battle. There was other mechanics at work, which they could continue looking to the ROM hack community for those. Radical Red was
never.
Well, but I think they are in some ways.
That's a matter of honor. That's a matter of honor. It's We're not going to
But I
go to
think
these people who are
they're indirectly doing that
taking
because
our
I'm sure
IP and doing better
they're
things with
looking
it.
I'm sure they're looking at YouTubers and like they look at the media that's made around, you know, the commentary on them
Only insofar
to
as to
some
know
degree.
who to sue.
Yeah, but even that, they're like, oh, okay, that's kind of a good idea. They have these, you know, XYZ limitations, you know, or you know, new mechanics. Let's kind of poach from that. But yeah, I think that just like just fucking fleshing out the game in the new, you know, the Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2 fucking you know, platform where you have the ability to have more than a fucking 8-bit Pokemon game that's just ported to a you know, you up the graphics and then put it on the fucking in 3D. You know, give us something that is an actual kind of story and more than fetch quests and, you know, easy battles.
I would actually be interested if they were somehow able to make an interesting, you know, with some level of depth, tactical turn-based combat. You know, the combat as it exists now is just like, yeah, do you have the type that is better, you know, that trumps the other type, and you hit the one attack and it's super effective and they're dead.
There was a funny
It's one turn, one attack, one turn, one attack, and
because
your
everyone
Pokemon are
just
done.
over
You cycle
levels their
through 'em.
Pokemon because you know what level they're going to be. So they could, if they had dynamic, which some of the ROM hacks do, they'll have dynamic gym leaders. So if you're at a certain and level caps, so like if you haven't gotten to Sabrina yet, you can't go past level 75, and her Pokemon are always going to be like 2 levels higher. So you actually have to think and like do
my
setup
idea
moves and
my
things
idea
like
is
that.
doing something like you know, akin to like a Final Fantasy combat system where
ATB, make it
you basically
active.
have a party. You make it be a party based
Oh my god, a gang of Pokemon.
Where you have like a line, whether it's like you do like turn-based tactics and you're like moving around a grid or something like that. That's a way you could make some, you know, incorporate
Hey
movement
man, there are
have that.
Digimon
and
games
stuff
They've
into
into it
it.
done
already.
those. They've done those games too.
Or you do like you know, more like a Persona type thing where you've got, you know, just your line of Pokemon out,
Yeah, but I'd just
and
rather play Persona.
I
It's the
know.
best Pokemon
But it's
game.
like that each one has like, you know, a role. Like, you know, your fairy types are your healers, your rock types are your
The
tanks.
tanks.
You know, your fire, lightning,
But
and
Your
whatever are your
giant penis
DPS.
monster is your DPS.
Yeah,
You
and it's
kind
like
of do have that in these ROM hacks when like it's just small tweaks that like Pokemon doesn't even have to, you know, completely reimagine the battle system. Like with these
No,
small tweaks,
what he's
you
saying
get
more or less is they've done some experimental stuff with like Legends Arceus and stuff like that. It never hurts to do more experimental side content games where you can
well,
do
what I'm
different
saying
stuff.
is
They do that
they've
with
done
like the
those.
fucking that Dota clone that they have, Unite, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah, but
Like, that's not a
they've done
mainline
that with the
Pokemon game, but they're
3DS.
taking the ideas and applying it to a different genre where they could try to activate the like what's the Mario Rabbids. They could try to Mario and Rabbids it, make it
But
Pokemon and Digimon. Boom, done. Best game ever made.
But what I'm saying is they've done those before in the 3DS and they weren't all that successful. But if you were to just do a small tweak, which is more likely to be done and like
I don't
could
know.
be done in their existing
I think you
systems.
Pokemon heads are, you know,
I will end it
you're
with
too used to
this.
being punished, and you know,
Yeah.
you only want the slightest sliver of something better, you know, not realizing that you could
No,
have
but
so
what
much more that
I'll
it's
no,
leave
I
it
better.
at this.
understand. And I'm
When
not
I
saying
sent the
from go
when
ahead.
I sent the Stephen A. Smith reacting to Pokemon clip, that came off of NBA Circle Jerk, and the top comment on there was Charmander is Bulbasaur father, Bulbasaur is Squirtle father, Squirtle is Charmander father. That's all you need to know.
So my last defense, and this is like, I am trying to put my Pokemon degeneracy aside, and listening to what Ben was saying of like, that idea of each party member has a role. There is the basis for that in Pokemon already. It's just that
if you're running stall technique.
Well, you don't even have to run a stall, but what I'm saying is by making the battles just harder and having caps on them or having dynamic you know, opponents that their level will adjust based on yours. So you can't over level your Pokemon and just hit one button and clear them
I mean,
out.
wasn't that
You actually have
traditionally
to
how they handled it in like red
No.
and blue? No, I'm
No.
saying like you needed a gym badge to be able to control Pokemon over a certain level. Right?
Yes,
That was their
but it
gate.
was
So like
but
you
it was
get here, you
always
can't have
higher.
stuff over 30.
But it was always higher than the gym leader that you
Yeah,
could
but like
next.
they had that basis in there before of like
But
you can't be so over leveled. You're bringing a level 50 Pokemon in.
But it doesn't matter
second
because of
team.
the way that the stats are set up. If you're 3 levels over, you're always going to be faster unless you're against a complete, you have a dog shit Pokemon and they have just like an average one. Like no matter what, if you're a couple levels over, you're going to have a higher attack. You're going to have better speed stats. So you're going to outspeed and you're going to out attack. And if you could do both those things in Pokemon,
that's been a part of every pretty much JRPG is the fact that if you just go and over level everything, the game becomes trivial because you're just above everything at its point.
Exactly. But it's
why
so easy to do in Pokemon.
I'm anti grinding.
So
Yes.
with what I'm saying is the ROM hacks do a
Mainly 'cause
better
it's
job
boring.
of putting the caps on and then also having adjustable or like dynamic levels with the gym leaders. You actually have to, and gym leaders that don't just have one single type Pokemon. Like the gym leaders actually have a strategy and have a team that where they're going to send someone in to heal, or it's a double battle. So you have a healing support type, and then you have, your tank or your DPS or whatever. And it's different types and different type combos in one Pokemon. Uh, even doing setup moves of like upping your stats or lowering the other opponent's stats. Like it actually becomes something that you have to put some thought into rather than the game, the games that Pokemon put out where it's like, okay, the fairy team is all, the fairy gym leader has all fairy types. You bring a fucking poison type and you hit sludge wave on each of them and they go down because you're 2 levels higher, so you're faster and have a better attack. And then you just clear through the gym. That's not fucking fun anymore. Um, but with these slight tweaks and adding voices, voice acting, it would just, that alone I think would make it a better game, and they could like build off of that. I don't think they're ever going to go from
that you guys expect, you don't have high enough expectations and demands. I think it's like you are in an abusive relationship. It's like you want just the slightest little change and glimmer of things could be better,
But
and
I mean,
you'll be right
end
back.
of the
You'll be
day,
right back in.
I've always enjoyed like some of the simplicity of it. So like that's why I go to Pokemon. So like I'm not looking for a Final Fantasy 7 type game.
I mean, what you basically described in the ROM hacks is basically generic JRPG combat. That's like one tier above Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I meant just like graphic wise and like a completely different system, having the party, things like that.
Right, so that's enough on Pokemon and Palworld.
It's essentially almost the full episode run right
now. We're about 35 minutes in. We've got some other things we wanted to talk about. It's fine. Like, again, mine is just, it was more a bit of a rant.
Is this the if you have to apologize for your third person or
no, first person?
Yeah,
you should just not do first person. So that whole argument comes from the Xbox Developer Direct that came a week or so ago at this point now at the time recording.
Yeah, it was the last Thursday because I was in
So
San Diego.
we got
Will's vagina.
we
I was waiting for it.
We got four first party studio announcements, showcases, whatever you want to call them, as well as a third party little pop in secret. We can start there. Matt, what are your thoughts? Because he's the only based individual here. What are your thoughts on Visions of Mana, the first addition to the Mana series in 15 years?
I mean, it's cool to see the Mana series getting more attention again. I mean, even it's the first new edition. Obviously, there was the remake / remaster.
It's so confusing, the remakes and remasters and things on Switch, because there's like, there's a remake remaster one, there's ones that are just like a port and collection of like two of them, and I'm like trying to like, and like one of them is like a overlap, like Trials of Mana, you can play two different ways on Switch, and one's like as part of a 2-game collection, and it's very confusing to me. I mean, what long-standing JRPG franchise isn't confusing?
Exactly.
Isn't confusing to me in that way.
I was gonna say this is actually very simple from Square compared to like the Kingdom Hearts franchise and how that chronology goes.
Particularly when you add the 1.5 and 2.5 shit.
My personal favorite
was this Lion King?
Is Kingdom Hearts 365 in 2 days.
Oh my god.
Or 365 over 2 days, I should say. 365/2.
That's a game title?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we dividing? Does the slash mean per? So is it 365 per every 2? What are we?
Nobody knows what it means.
Nobody knows.
But it's provocative. Gets the people going.
It actually
we're just
does.
really pulling. We're showing our age here with our quotes.
No, we're going for it all in. But no, it's cool to see Visions of Mana. I thought it was funny because just like any developer direct, Microsoft showed it off with only their logo and a PC logo. And then when you would go to the actual Square website, it was like, oh yeah, also coming to PS5. And I don't think it showed Switch there, but I think that was one of the ones that was confirmed to potentially be a Switch 2 discussion alongside the Atlas Persona 3 Reload and Phantasmo Metaphorio.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Metaphor Fantasio.
Mephisto.
Yeah, I'm too functionally illiterate to.
But what about the actual showcase of the game itself? To me, it looked a little slow for action combat.
I mean, it's one of those where they're doing their first new release in the Mana series in a long time, so hard to see how much of their modern takeaway on their classic combat that they're going to try to reintegrate into a franchise that's been, relatively speaking, dormant. It's not like the Final Fantasy franchise where they're 8 games further than they were in the last time they released Mana.
Not to downplay the significance of them, announcing this return to this series after so long, but the fact that was the surprise from this.
I mean, there's a lot of,
in comparison to the year previous, where you had Hi-Fi Rush's The Shadow Drop.
I think there's a lot of desperation on the side of Microsoft, if I'm allowed to read between the lines a little bit, on their inability to pull,
folks.
Inability to pull from the Japanese market, and they're trying really hard to foster those relationships with Sega and with Square, trying to regain some of that partnership that they had back in the 360 era that they lost during the Xbox One era. So I think they're trying really hard to spotlight Square and Atlas whenever they can, and getting their stuff on Game Pass is a big deal to try to mend a relationship that was relatively broken.
The Abu sales are too low.
No, like Final Fantasy 15, which launched day one on Xbox One and PS4 simultaneously. Only 10% of the lifetime sales of Final Fantasy 15 came on Xbox.
It's because Xbox Ones were largely Call of Duty machines. Like, let's be honest. Like, what else were people that were buying Xbox Ones playing other than Forza
Well,
or
that's
Call of
been my
Duty?
whole argument in the online community of like, well, they don't release JRPGs on Xbox. Like, y'all don't buy them.
Yeah.
Like you might think you stand for the majority because like, oh, you want to play it, but like clearly the majority of Xbox players don't.
Well, and a majority of Xbox owners are Americans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little more
so
than a
they're playing
majority.
yeah, they're almost all. So they're just literally playing Call of Duty. They're living out their American dream.
Yeah, they're playing Call of Duty or whatever sports game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I forgot about the sports games, but for sure, Madden and
Forza.
Call of Duty machines. Forza because it's the only good Xbox exclusive. And yeah, so I think, Matt, you're right that they're trying to for sure like find some way into the Japanese market, or
Well, there was a
or just a
fairly
foreign market.
there was a fairly substantiated rumor that they're trying really hard to get Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first one, onto Game Pass this summer. That's their big push right now, is to try to get more of Square's
That's not gonna
catalog
happen.
into their Game Pass.
There's no way. There's no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I may have spaced out for a second. You're talking about Final Fantasy VII Part 2.
Yeah.
There's no way.
No,
There's
the
part
first
right
one.
now.
Oh,
They
okay.
want part one.
So there's no way. Like they're. I've seen so many articles about Part 2. They say like basically the future of Square, is going to rely on the sales of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
I mean,
Like it needs to sell.
It's been my like forecast into the future for a while that Square and Sony are going to link up as the reactionary partnership, like fully like stamp that deal, and then probably just play nicely with Nintendo because they don't necessarily treat each other like Nintendo and Sega did in the 90s. Because Square still has a pretty functional relationship when it comes to Nintendo and making sure that like Dragon Quest was traditionally a Nintendo franchise, which would shut down the country.
Yeah, not allowed to release on a workday anymore.
Yeah, that was my favorite Dragon Quest stat, was that companies just found it easier to give people the day off of a Dragon Quest launch because no one was showing up anyway.
Based.
So yeah, and you're just not going to get that with Xbox players. And I don't think that even if they try to get some of these games on Xbox or foster these relationships, you're never going to have
my take to those
large
players
sales
who feel left out because they can't access it on their Xbox
buy
is
PS5.
there are two other consoles and another entire environment you can buy that will give you access to most, if not all, of these.
Yep. Agreed.
The rest of these, though, I believe are all exclusives because they're first party.
Xbox and PC only.
So Aura History Untold,
that's the true definition of Microsoft exclusive.
Aura History Untold is a 4X strategy game. Don't really care. Move on. This is not part of the rant, but Senua Saga Hellblade 2 looks good. Visually looks good. They're doing.
I like that they're
cool
starting to put out warnings of
and...
like, this is going to be a short game. Please don't expect this to be a 30 to 60 hour experience. This will be closer to a 10-hour experience.
That's what the first one was. So expectations should be similar.
Right there.
And I think that's fine. I'm fine with shorter games.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's just that I have definitely seen reactions of people who were expecting this to be like God of War on PS4.
Yeah, it's like they're
thing.
We've had these arguments and talking about like, oh, like what do you price a game like that? And it depends what it offers in terms of technical quality and
because I think they're charging $50. I think that's a $50 full price with no physical retail.
Okay, I mean, I don't like that part of it, and that's part of our next conversation that we'll move on to. No physical retail anymore with Xbox. But first, I want to just do my little rant about Avowed and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Just
it's a circle.
The fucking first person shit just is driving me crazy. And they don't make this argument in Avowed. I just think it looks worse in Avowed. But the Indiana Jones,
Avowed definitely looks worse.
The devs were like Matt already dropped it. It's like I've seen plenty other games and other developers do this. I was like trying to rack my brain though before because like I should have written it down. Oh, it was Avatar. That was the one that I was forgetting. It was Avatar: The Frontiers of Pandora before release, and it's this. They literally they took the argument word for word from them. But you've seen it in some other games too. But where they talk about how they have to preempt the backlash that action adventure game players are going to levy at them about why the fuck is this not in third person. They're like, it's because it's more immersive. We want to immerse you into the experience. And I mean, I find the movements and the jankiness of first person to take me out of the immersion. It doesn't
there's
feel
nothing
as clean.
immersive to me about moving around an environment with two hands
and only seeing my hands. Yeah, like I don't walk like that. And it just doesn't.
It's
it doesn't
not
fly.
VR.
Yeah, it doesn't fly with me.
And Avowed in particular looks
like a VR game. That one is astounding to me. Like Avowed.
I'm pretty sure you
bad.
see like when the arm moves up far enough in Avowed, like you see it cut off.
Honestly, like people are talking Avowed up, and I don't get it. Like Obsidian does good story. They make good choices. They have like good choices and consequences, and I'm sure the writing will be fine. And fine to good. Say like Outer Worlds was really excellent writing. A first person RPG, but gets by with that because it's largely a shooter.
Yep.
But dude, it looks so fucking bad. I feel like I'm being gaslit by like people who are like, looks great, looks awesome, can't wait to play this game. I mean,
I don't want to be worse than fucking
theorist,
Skyrim, but like there is so much corporate scum online when it comes to like cross promotion on anonymous accounts.
But there's something about this game that not just like the movements and the animations, which again look like they're a decade plus old at this point. There's something about the weird graphical sheen that's on everything that looks like a VR game. It looks like there's something uncanny to the visuals in this that just do not look good.
And I think like what you said perfectly there is like 10-plus-year-old graphics, and it looks like they just put a coat of shellac on it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the graphics, it's the
animations
that look so old.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's the entire combat system is 15 years old.
It's fucking ancient. It just does not
look
good.
I want my third-person games. That's more
I
want to be controlling a player.
Here's my conspiracy for this. Microsoft doesn't want to make third-person action or adventure games because that's Sony's thing. And they want to be different than Sony. And they want to
know that their base is Call of Duty players
because they know they can't compete there.
And they're like, we only have Call of Duty players.
In my head, I was like, oh yeah, first person in my opinion really only works for shooters. But then I'm like, I've played plenty of good third-person shooters. I said I've played plenty of good third-person shooters. So it's like even that argument starts to break down. It's like maybe when you're getting to competitive shooters, you want first person so that you're just visually closer. That is, where reaction time is important.
And it's so I think Forza
it's just
is
lazy development personally. I think it's just so you don't have to animate a full character model.
Well, so I that's definitely part of it, but I like Forza to me is a good example of, and it's a completely different game, obviously, because it's
Why? Because
racing.
you can drive from the wheel slightly back and then from the full pulled back third person.
Yep. And like competitive people play with
Drive
their
right on the
fucking
windshield.
drive right on the windshield with their fucking,
with their
actual
rig,
steering
with
wheel,
their rig.
Yeah.
But then, people that just want to have fun and drive a car around, put it in third person, you get to see the nice shiny car. And if you want to, fuck around, you put it in the, so you could see the steering wheel and see out the windshield. But you have like your options there, and it's like Ben said, competitive, more, the first person.
One of Ben's big points when he was ranting about this to me while I was like semi-lucid in my hotel room.
Yeah, he was jet lagged.
Yeah, jet lagged as fuck the entire time. Was that like in Indiana Jones, whenever you're doing something action oriented with the environment, it pulls out to third person. Yeah, so it's there. It's built into the game.
They claim it. They're like, there are certain moments where it's like, we still want you to be able to see the classic silhouette of, the jacket, the hat, the whip. So we
want to see it the whole game.
It's like, so in cinematic cutscenes and environmental traversal
interactions,
we pull back to third person. I'm like, if you feel the need to have to change your camera at some point, it's proof that you've chosen the wrong camera.
It's traversal that it's pulling out. It's not even.
It could just be an option in there and a toggle.
Like, there are things
who
like
want first person.
The example they gave was like, and there's one where it's like he swings, he attaches his whip and then swings from something, it pulls out, or when he's like climbing up a pipe on a building, it pulls out.
They figured out that first person platforming sucks.
But for me, it's like I was at some point I was like kind of buying that first person would work for Indiana Jones, and I still think it looks better than
it's the one that stood out to me as the more
when you put the
finished.
Yeah, when you put the two side by side, it looks miles better in terms of its perspective. But it was like, oh yeah, maybe for like the puzzling things, for when you're examining an ancient artifact, to be able to see, high level of detail, you need the camera.
Spider-Man.
You need the camera to be closer. And I'm about to, maybe, I guess this is contradicting myself, and it's like, if you feel that you need to do that, it's like you have an element, there's a prompt to inspect, and you get a close-up view. It doesn't even switch the camera. Sometimes it just goes to a completely different screen, and you can manipulate around. You can manipulate the object, and that's been part of game design for a long fucking time. And yeah, maybe that's outdated or whatever.
I remember that in Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on the PC in 1997.
I don't buy the argument that it's like it's more immersive to be in first person. I don't buy it.
No.
It's not.
Particularly for like Indiana Jones, I think is like perfect for that statement of you are making it less immersive by making it first person, because the Indiana Jones experience is third person. Yeah, exactly.
I want to see
I'm not Indiana Jones. I want to control and watch Indiana Jones from
the cool thing. Yeah.
Like cracking a whip.
The free movie channel I watched did a week where they were marathoning the Indiana Jones movies, and man, those first three ones, well, culturally insensitive in a lot of ways.
But
number two, number two is pretty bad.
They are based because they mark the map as Palestine and not Israel. So
George knows.
Base George Lucas.
Yeah, returning once again.
I mean, wasn't that legitimately in a time period where Israel didn't exist? Wasn't it like 30s and 40s?
Yeah, it depends.
Israel.
Yeah, it depends. No, it would be. Yeah, it would be. Probably still.
Just adding the context.
Probably British controlled Palestine at that point.
At least you didn't put a British flag on it.
But yeah, that's just my rant. It's just like I don't necessarily know. I don't have any other answer to say counter Matt's thing of, oh, it's lazy development. They don't want to deal with
I mean, it's what
more
I'm
character
making is quote unquote a
animations.
lazy argument, but it's how I feel a lot of the times when I see what
I
could have
don't-
been a third person game is because you don't want to put the time in to animate the cloth simulation on the character or the hair swinging or
Yeah,
any of
and it
those
may
little
not
things
be,
that take a lot of time.
and it may not be like the final reason that they decide not to go
But
third person,
it could
but
be
it's
part of the
definitely part.
decision matrix.
Yeah,
I think part
for
of it is
sure. It's
is
part of the
potentially like,
calculus.
oh, it's like we'd have to do all of this to make the third person experience immersive.
Yeah.
You know, to not break immersion by having janky, static, hair animations.
Yep.
Well, that was one of the things that
cloth
Final
physics
Fantasy 16 finally cracked for Square in a lot of ways, is they finally got like good hair and cloth sims for the most part.
I mean, we said it in
Just
Journey.
like a static chunk of hair swinging back and forth.
Yeah, I said it when we were talking about Journey, but like historically, cloth and hair in art have always been the hardest to, to make
Yeah,
realistic.
except AI art can get that flawlessly, but it can't get fucking hands right.
can't do hands or teeth.
Because I saw like Donald Trump posted like an AI built campaign shot that had him with 6 fingers.
Nice. Was he also ripped and on a horse behind Putin?
I think it was like a side profile shot, so his hands were like in front, and if you counted the number of knuckles, it was 6 knuckles and a thumb.
Nice. I hope they didn't get rid of some of his dumpy.
Right. So there's more Microsoft news
There's more.
Yeah, there's more, and there's a whole bunch of different levels to it, and it's not just Microsoft. We don't want to put it all on them.
No,
I'm sorry, but they just gave me the most recent news to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be a Sony pony soon, so we'll
then we can be fully integrated.
Good on you.
Yeah.
We can purge Mike of his Microsoft sins.
But I may need to buy it soon, maybe bringing it to like the hotel because I gotta play some more Final Fantasy. I'm only on like chapter 7.
Like gonna get the briefcase PS5 holder with screen built in.
No, I'm just gonna plug it into their shitty Vizio TV.
All right, who had our next story? I've kind of lost track because there's again we kind of move back and forth. Microsoft is a unifying.
Yeah, because physical sales and
layoffs
can go interchangeably. So who do you want?
Let's do a quick little bit of the physical sales.
Yeah,
that kind of leads us into layoffs.
Physical.
Yeah, let's get physical, baby.
Physical.
And by let's get physical, I mean let's watch the death of physical media happening right before our very eyes. And I don't mean that hyperbolically either. I mean that in very real alarmist terms.
I've been in multiple Best Buys recently.
I went to Best Buy yesterday.
Best Buy is purged.
I went to Best Buy.
They've purged.
I was in Best Buy yesterday and was looking around.
One case.
There's fucking nothing.
Thing.
If you go to their website now, pretty much nothing can be delivered anymore. Anything that you can buy online from a Blu-ray perspective has to be picked up in a store. So like I put together a cart, not knowing that at the time, and then was like, oh, I'd have to go to West Lab. I would have to go to fucking Boston.
See, I feel like it would have been the opposite. I mean, that's how I get all my physical media is pick up in store. That way I don't have to pay sales tax.
Yes, but this is stock that's just left in a store that they're not shipping anymore because that's too much effort. This is me going and cleaning out their clearance.
Wow.
Yep, they're not buying anymore to have in their storage or whatever, so they're taking whatever's in storage, putting it.
Blu-rays. They are still stocking physical games currently. Whether or not they will continue to host Xbox games is a complete up in the air because Target and Walmart have both begun the implementation of no longer restocking Xbox physical games in their stores. And I mean, we spoke about this last year in an episode. There was a rumor about it, and I had an anecdotal evidence that my local Walmart, PlayStation has two full shelves, Nintendo has 2 full shelves, and then each of them has their own individual shelf for accessories, and then Microsoft has 1 shelf with games, accessories, and consoles.
I mean, anecdotally for me, like that everywhere, all the Best Buys I've been in, any Target, it's the same. Sometimes the Nintendo has like 3.
When I went into to Best Buy yesterday to pick up some new stuff because my controllers were getting stick drift. Although I'm not I mean I'm glad I got the new controller, but I'm not convinced that it wasn't the game. But I did look up because I just beat Sekiro and had two controllers that appeared to develop stick drift. And
You
that
should have pulled a Mikey Scambino.
I did look it up. I did
I
look
don't
it
think
up,
you
and
can put a
apparently
regular DualSense back into a DualSense Edge
no,
box.
Oh.
no.
You can.
So
You
I
can, my
don't think
friend.
I don't think I got so I don't think it was something with the game. I think it was I just looked it up and so like why is Sekiro turning left all constantly? Why is he pulling left all the time? And so apparently it is a notorious game for nuking controllers.
Huh.
That and everyone has the pulling left is the
Huh.
but it's like not just that it's not just a game specific thing that it is causing stick drift, but it's from the game. It's from playing the game.
How does that even happen?
A shit ton of repetitive inputs.
Hmm.
Lots of crouching, lots of deflecting, lots of those movements just wreak havoc on your controller. Because I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like particularly thinking of like your average or your non Sekiro Souls game, you're largely just doing R1, the R1 R2, you're on the right side of thing. You're almost rarely hitting the left side unless you're dual wielding or something like that. But it's
Fasting.
but even those animations are much less frequent. Whereas you are literally fucking spamming L1 nonstop in Sekiro.
Yeah.
So
I
many
mean, if
inputs
you're
there.
doing anything in Sekiro, that's the only thing you should be doing. Everything else is secondary.
All right, this is a tangent that we don't have time for, but
Yeah, nope.
my
I'll
point
bring it
was
back.
I went into Best Buy and their entire physical fucking gaming thing was really bleak. Like I'm talking games of all brands, accessories, just shelves, just like basically empty. They had a shit ton of
Yep.
copies of Diablo 4 for PS4
Hilarious.
for PS4. That's what they had the most. That's what they had the most of. But like fucking nothing. Like really, really minor. Like Nintendo, I guess had a quote unquote full lineup, but like there was only like usually like one
I
copy
mean,
of
the
each game.
from the raw stats of physical sales last year, the percentage of physical sales was released in a tweet.
It's not good. It's
the
not
new
good.
the newest form of media.
No,
I'm
not
from
good.
2007. Welcome to the past. And it was saying that last year 50% of physical titles sold were a Nintendo Switch, which makes sense to me because Nintendo Switch has the best implementation of physical games because almost all of them are entirely on the cartridge.
Yeah.
So when you throw
It's
it in,
not
you
just
can
a
play
license.
yeah,
a
you
license.
can play right away, no download, no update, and just jump in. And then PS4/PS5 accounted for 40% of the total physical sales, followed by a measly 10% for the Xbox Series X/One. I don't know if that's still. I mean, I guess PS4 was included, so we'll throw Xbox One in there as well. Which paints the picture for why Xbox is moving away from trying to bring games to physical retail, because they've fostered an environment around subscription
Game
service,
Pass.
which is diametrically opposed to selling a physical media version of it. Like you never want people buying something when you can offer it to them in a subscription. That's been the overall goal of Microsoft as a company for 30 years now. Remember when you could buy Office for $100?
Yep.
And
Now
have
you can
it
only
forever.
buy
And now
your year
Office is a
subscription.
$150 a year subscription.
No, it's only $99.95.
Oh, you're talking about Office. We're talking about Office Pro, baby.
No, not on the Pro. Just got the Office family
Yeah,
plan.
you need Pro for Excel macros.
Do you really? I didn't know that.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that either. I've
or
done
for
Excel
at least
macros.
more advanced Excel macros.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. Because I've definitely done some on regular.
I
But
The
guys, you just got to be comfortable with not owning your game.
Yeah,
That's what
Yeah,
Ubisoft has to say about it.
Ubisoft was right. They're always right.
Because like you stopped being comfortable. You got comfortable with not owning your CDs anymore, not owning music. You just got to stop caring about it.
I mean, Ubisoft is just holding out that they'll be able to keep all their games on Ubisoft Connect and release them there first before Steam so that they could, get all those transaction fees and then license them some more. So
I mean, it's also just the raw user data that they can get from having you on their own platform.
yeah.
Like there's so much personal data they can sell and make money off of.
oh god damn it. You're right.
French.
You're welcome.
The thing that that I do find interesting about the divergence in strategy between Microsoft and Nintendo and Sony is it's very interesting to me because I don't think the streaming model has not proven itself to really work the way it was initially envisioned. Right, it's been a loss leader. Like you're now seeing like Netflix make money,
and the way they had to go about that was
putting in ads,
remove any features and add more tiers.
Yep, and increase fees, and
which is what people have been warning Xbox fans about with Game Pass for a while now. It's like it's not that it's a bad deal right now. It's that in the future, there will be nothing to stop them from making it a horrible deal.
Right.
Especially when they're giving out free, subscriptions fucking left.
I mean,
they're
even cutting back on that. They've been slowly repealing their free trial setup.
I just don't.
Every new PC you buy, you get a free one still.
Yes, but it's 14 days now instead of 30 days.
I think my Game Pass Ultimate thing expired. My offer expired at the end of last year.
I don't want to go on another tangent, but I do want to say this quickly. Microsoft is also running a scam. I have Game Pass.
Mike knows his scams, folks. Yeah, he's the expert here.
I have
Mikey
Game
Scambino.
Pass.
We need to come up with a song for you so we can introduce the segment.
I've been trying to cancel Microsoft Game Pass because I don't use it, or Xbox Game Pass.
It sucks. They can't do it. They don't let you do it.
The fucking my Microsoft account, you have to if you do it through Game Pass or even if you just log on to Microsoft, brings you to your account page where you have to either take your payment off, change your payment, or cancel your subscription. For months I have been trying for months on different computers, different browsers, incognito mode.
The entire idea of a subscription service is to trap you with frustration.
It doesn't even load to the page. It just keeps refreshing on its own. I've gotten to it where it's it's been on the page long enough where I could click on the change payment or whatever, but then I don't click fast enough and it just fucking refreshes that same account page.
Honestly,
the
only way to do it is to cancel your credit card.
Yeah, because I've disputed the transactions and then in the notes on the dispute and talk to someone on the phone. I can't cancel it. Fucking cancel it for me. Just block the payments to Microsoft.
Yeah,
don't let my card pay Microsoft anymore.
I can anecdotally attest to this because Ben, you might remember this. We were playing It Takes Two. And I had redeemed a 1 week free trial out of my bank of free trials that I had
for EA Play. Yeah.
And no, for Game Pass.
We'll say because it comes with EA Play.
Yeah, but I was playing it through Game Pass. We went over my week, so I went to do another trial. And when I went to re-up the trial with another set of codes, it told me that I could not re-up a trial unless I left recurring payments on. If I shut recurring payments off, it won't let me do free trials anymore. And it was basically this, you need to leave it on and get at least 1 month payment accrued for the free trial to continue working.
It's a 2 for 1.
Yeah.
People again.
And at
I'm
that
just
exact
locked
point,
into
I went, well,
payments.
fuck this, and then went over to Steam and just bought the game. And now I just own It Takes Two and can play it, indefinitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna be an Xbox Game Pass member until I cancel this credit card,
For
which I
life.
don't want to
So,
cancel because it's my oldest credit
The
card, and I
subscription
need that for
model
my credit
looked
score.
at the predatory model of the YMCA gym.
I was gonna say it's the gym
and was
model.
like,
It's
we
the
can
gym model.
absolutely fucking capitalize on this.
Yeah, no, it's
You have
it's
to write a letter to
fucking incredible.
Congress to
Sign up for a
cancel your gym
YMCA
subscription.
The only
No,
way you should
for
sign up
real.
for a YMCA membership is with a disposable debit card that you can
Yeah.
load up with like $50 and then throw
Holy
out.
fuck!
That's wild.
I forget about it for a while, and then I try again. I'm gonna probably try again later because I thought about it and I got frustrated. But like for months, this has been going on, this cycle, and it just refreshes.
Yeah, their hope and goal is that you just get frustrated and quit, and just let it.
They
keep
just made the
charging you.
page inoperable. It's
It's
incredible. I
based
don't
on
know.
their end,
I don't
honestly. It's like high level capitalist. That's some
Yeah,
like that's winning capitalism right there. Can we just give them the plaque?
Yeah, I mean,
So
and
frustrating.
Microsoft is continuing, they're winning. They're becoming leaner fighting machine.
Didn't they just
more
become the most
efficient.
valuable tech company in the world?
They
Didn't
just got a
Most
three-
valuable
Apple?
company, period.
a $3
Yeah,
trillion
there it
dollar
is.
evaluation, and just cut off. What was it?
1,900 jobs.
Yeah, and what was the percentage of their gaming?
8% of the gaming workforce was laid off.
Yeah, and why is the tangent to, or why it's the connective tissue for these discussions is that a huge part of
Portion
that
of that
department
was their physical retail department.
Yeah, just all the people responsible for getting their games out to retail sailors. Just nope, we don't need you anymore. Bye bye.
Yep. You're archaic.
And for all the
next
people-
consoles digital only. We don't need
Yeah.
you. Bye bye.
For all the people who've been touting this,
you
and
are
want this to
redundant.
happen, have fun with your single online sales portal where they can control the entire cost. Because
And
part of
lock
the
you in
reason that the
forever.
online portals had so many sales was because they had to compete with the amount of sales that physical retailers were putting out.
It's
I
insane.
wonder-
They cut their entire retail physical team. So like that is the confirmation that whatever comes next for Xbox, whether it is a console or they entirely go to some sort of streaming thing, there is going to be nothing physical.
Developer a la Sega.
Yeah. There is nothing physical. Like Xbox doesn't want to sell you a console anymore. I won't be
really
surprised. They don't want to.
I mean, because every console loses money. That doesn't matter
Well,
where
except
you
for
are.
Nintendo.
they
Nintendo
just-
sells their consoles distinctly not at a loss.
Interesting. And which is interesting because they don't have problems selling consoles like Microsoft does.
Well, yeah, that's why they don't have to sell it at a loss.
Because
Nintendo fans will buy a game 6 years later at $70 and be like, bargain.
Oh man, but like, yeah, it's Microsoft is just really kind of the latest swath of.
I mean, the
brutal
immediate
cuts.
reaction to the layoff was kind of gross to me, in the sense that there were so many people doing the immediate justification of like, well, whenever you have mergers, there's going to be redundant positions that are going to get fired. And it's like, that's cool, but you're talking about actual people here who.
That's cool, but let me read some stats for this, because this is where it does get really fucking gross. And so for 2023, Microsoft had net income of 22.3 billion. Net income. That is you've taken your gross revenue and you subtracted your expenses. They are left with $22.3 billion made in a 12-month period, and they are still firing
to acquire.
They spent 70 million or 70 billion, right? I think it's 70 billion.
Yeah, it was 69.
So they've already
billion.
profited, but almost half of that back.
Yeah.
Yes. While then
Probably
continuing
closer to 1/3.
Yeah, well then
Fun.
laying
So
off
Andrew,
huge percentage.
question. Was that the Microsoft? That's Microsoft period, not specifically gaming.
That is Microsoft.
Okay.
That is Microsoft in total.
Their gaming division, I don't think makes money.
Yeah,
It
that's what I
does.
figured, but I just wanted to.
I
It
thought
does,
oh,
but
okay.
it's not a significant portion of their
Yeah,
revenue.
see, I
It's
had
like
I think their
5%.
biggest portion of revenue comes from their cloud infrastructure.
Yeah, see, I thought it was something like, oh yeah, no, this is our passion project. You know?
No, it is not a loss leader. The gaming division does make money. I think it contributes. It's like 5 to 10%.
It's only going to make
bottom
more
line.
money now that they have King and mobile gaming under their belt.
Yeah.
But even more some additional numbers for you. Xbox revenue in general was up 13% on the year. And their computing division 23%. So this isn't
I see line go up.
Yeah, exactly. Like the only argument here is that they are just looking to increase margin, and it's not actually anything besides returning more capital to shareholders. There's no strategic benefit to reducing this headcount. It's not
No. You don't understand. The
anything
strategic
like
benefit
that.
is we paid $70 billion and now we have your IP.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't really need you, the worker. We have the bones already.
It was incredibly sad.
It's already been proven that, you know, people are like, you know, it's good business practice, you know, to, you know, increasing returns, increase profits, you know, cutting waste. You know,
The Defense Force out saying
teams,
that it was all just redundancy layoffs.
and they were like, these teams are incredibly bloated, you know, it's going to get them back to, you know, their fighting strength. You know, disgusting.
Yeah, but that ignores the fact, because there was a lot of people arguing. They were like, "Oh, this is just the COVID bloat layoffs." It's like, dude, the COVID bloat layoffs were last year.
Yeah, those already happened. And like, we have fundamentally,
because there were layoffs last year too.
Yeah, and just like the public has fundamentally lost the plot on what jobs are for, and they are purely a means to an end. And like, if we act like these companies are anything more than just like helping us get to that, you know, freedom, as limited as they do help, like that's just it's a misrepresentation, I think, to act like you know, this is a good thing that Microsoft now, you know, has increased their margin by 5% by laying off all of these people. Although, you know, hey, props to them. They waited till after the holidays.
Yeah,
so
but did you consider that means they can put more stuff on Game Pass? And then they can give me more games for free, even though I pay for Game Pass, but it's free.
It's free. It's free. That money spent, it's free.
That one always, that's just a minor thing that pisses me off whenever someone says, well, it's free with Game Pass.
It's free.
Motherfucker, nothing is free that you're paying for.
Yeah, we're and you know, this is all still just going to result in more unfinished broken games that we're going to receive, because things like QA have been cut.
Oh yeah, that was another one of the huge sectors that got cut was QA testers from Raven Software.
You know,
Wait, what did we know about the Raven Software QA testers? Weren't they trying to unionize at one point?
Yeah, I think maybe so.
And didn't they just get laid off? That's weird. That's just a coincidence, though. I'm sure Microsoft said they support all unions.
Yeah, that they would not interfere with organizing efforts at any acquired studios.
Lol.
The other thing with the layoffs, even outside of Microsoft, and Matt, I believe you said this stat before we went on live, but at this point of the year, we're already at 50%, I think, right? That's the number.
We've surpassed 50%.
Surpassed 50%.
I think the total number of layoffs in January in the gaming division sector are 5,800, and last year it was something like 9,200 total.
Yeah. So we're already past halfway of what was a historic year for layoffs. And I mean, even outside of gaming, the media landscape has seen a huge amount of layoffs over the last 2 weeks. I mean, Sports Illustrated effectively doesn't exist anymore. And what was the other one? There's another one that essentially is no longer even operating. I forget the name, but it's just like
Gawker?
no, not Gawker. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, shouts out
brother.
to Hulk.
Thanks, brother.
Brother.
Yeah, we're even seeing, gaming tangential gaming companies like Twitch and Discord are getting fucking
Yeah.
hit with layoffs.
Discord laid off like 1,600 people or something like that. Twitch laid off like 1,100 or something.
And this is all happening in an
Discord
environment
laid
where
off 17% of the company's total staff.
yeah, those were big numbers. The Twitch one was pretty big too.
Yeah.
35% of its total
Yeah.
staff. The numbers aren't as big as Matt said there. Twitch was 500, Discord is 170, but like percentage wise,
That's significant.
Those are pretty massive.
I mean, that's literally over a third of your company. Imagine walking in one day and just a third of your coworkers just gone. And yes, I know some of you are picturing a dream of the third of your coworkers that you hate.
And again, the amount of work doesn't change.
Yeah, exactly.
It just means more work,
never.
more overtime, worse conditions for those that remain. With the stress and the threat
but
of
have you considered
they're
now
be
that
next.
the coffee pot will be 1/3 more full?
What's the stress to like, just because they did these layoffs now doesn't mean they're not going to do more later. When their next game, because it was rushed to market, is unfinished, doesn't sell well, that they got to do more layoffs to keep that bottom line profitable, to keep their their executives with 6 or 7 figure bonuses.
Listen, if
seven, it's 8 is the minimum now.
If capitalists could have their way, they would have one employee that did everything and worked 24/7. They would pay them $0. And
oh wait, that employee exists already, and that's a robot. Except the $0 doesn't necessarily work because you have to pay for maintenance cost at least once every 6 months.
But Ben, that was a very what you just said is, I think, really what makes me feel so bad about this, and it's just that it's such an obvious death spiral. It's only going to continue that.
What is capitalism but a
a
death drive, just in exchange for short-term gain?
I think it was Jason Schreier who tweeted that it was like people at Activision were finding out about the layoffs from social media.
Oh, yes. They were emailing him. They were emailing him. Do you know?
Yes.
Do you know if I got fired?
Yes.
Because they're not telling me. Yeah, no, just the amount of stress and shit that they have to undergo, because these environments are not conducive to actual productive output.
Which we've seen with the crunch in the bad games, and that all comes at a time while corporations are seeing record-breaking profits.
Yeah,
and continue to grow while we're all told the economy's bad and that inflation is killing things. It's just like, it's so.
They've been seeing record-breaking profits for the past 3 years at least.
Yeah, I mean, the line go up. Line go up.
Only one of those is because of forgiven PPP loans.
Yeah.
Well, folks. Well, we're right
starting
at the
to move off.
Yeah, we're right in the edge of our what's an acceptable time for us to finish the podcast. So that's going to do it for today. Lots of kind of shitty news, which
guess what, things get worse.
Yeah, that seems to always be the case for these monthly news roundups. It's never good news. There were some good games. There were some good games that released, but there were some good games that released this month. People are enjoying Palworld for all its problems.
Infinite wealth, baby.
Infinite wealth. It will be a long time before I'm actually able to engage with it, because I still need to play 7 first, and then
setting records for Yakuza.
Yeah, so happy about that. Got great reviews.
Like a Dragon.
The new Prince of Persia game is getting great reviews. So, getting some good games already. So that, I guess, is a good thing, and hopefully we see more of that, but with better conditions for their workers, as always. That is what we will leave you with. Folks, in the meantime, you can support us by following us at twitch.tv/campaign comrades. Check out the socials. We will, we're basically CamCon Pod everywhere else. Find us wherever. We will see you in the next one, which will be our February game episode. It's Final Fantasy month in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, we're getting ready for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. All the games I'm playing now is just to fill in the gap between when Rebirth drops.
Yeah,
at the end of February.
I was hitting you last night with the do I try to play Persona 3 before Rebirth?
No. With how Matt plays video games, that's not possible. That's not doable. Play some
I'm reformed.
stuff.
I'm not finishing Crisis Core.
Good. Glad.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, I'm glad. All right, folks. Matt not 100%ing a game, it sure is the sign of the end times as much as it is the sign of the end of this podcast. We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.